Good morning. Happy Friday. Good to see everybody. Thanks for showing up. This is the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. It's live and recorded as always. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the live chat or in the comments after the fact. Let's see who's here. We're going to be talking about, I guess there is a, what was it? Crypto, what's it called? Crypto Day they had over somewhere. I don't know. It was a big meeting. Coinbase set it up. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's the first time I'm hearing of it is this morning. So I want to watch a little clip of that. Crypto World, Altcoin Daily, all the usual videos we're going to watch today. Let's see who's in the chat and then we'll go from there. Chris Hanley, good morning. Andrew Masad, Sadie sometimes. David, good to see you. J-Dub, what's up, buddy? Let's see. Tim I Am Crypto, Nerd Beast, Leo Lustig, my man. Steven Cicero is always. So What, 2007. Appreciate you, buddy. You're awesome. Gene, good to see you as well. Let's see. Crypto KJ. Crypto KJ. Did you change your name? Did you change your name, sir? Because I think you're somebody else. That's weird. I was wondering. Somebody retweeted my stuff, and I was like, is that the same guy? Did he change his name? I don't know. Let me know. All right, let's check out the market. As you guys can see, it's green behind me. Typically, I like to change the colors in the morning just so you guys can see what we're looking like. BTC 26,955. We have Ethereum 1669. At least it's over 1,600 bucks. That's nice. Everything is pretty much green today. BCH is down a little bit, but not too bad. Litecoin is at 65 bucks. Solana is over 20 now. A little bit over 20, not much. XRP 52 cents. We have Dogecoin 6 cents. Not too bad. Let's check out crypto bubbles and see what we're looking like on the week. Really nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy on the week. Nothing's really changed actually today. So XRP is up 8.8%. Roll Bitcoin 7.6%. I'm not into this. I don't know if anybody's into Roll Bic, but I feel like that's the one I've been talking about all week because it's always the biggest gainer, or has been the biggest gainer all week. Budweiser, good morning. I did change my name, but who was I? Crypto Miners UK or whatever, however you say your name. However you used to say it. It was yeah, it was just funny. Oh, blinded you all. Way to go. See, you confused me. Got me all messed up. 48 on the Fear and Greed Index. Check out the top 10 coins by coin market cap, and then we'll get into this. All right. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, XRP, USD Coin. We have Lido Staked, Ether, Cardano, Dogecoin, and Solana in 10th. Litecoin is up to 14th, and Shiba has been taking a poop lately in the backyard at 18th. I need that stuff to pump so I can get my coins sold. All right. Let's get into crypto world. Since I started a bit late, I want to jump right into this. Again, Coinbase CEO joins entrepreneurs on Capitol Hill. That was the crypto day or whatever I was talking about. So let's hear about this and then we'll go from there. If you guys have any questions, at me in the chat. Let's do it.
Today, Bitcoin rockets back above $27,000. CZ denies being a shareholder in Binance Russia's new owner. Solo Cisse of Galaxy explains why he thinks the next crypto bull run will be like nothing we've ever experienced.
Yeah, real quick, before they talk about that Binance thing. So Binance Russia buyer tight-lipped on owners but denies CZ's involvement. So I'm assuming Binance sold their Russia branch or something. I don't even know. Let's hear about that. But I was looking at that this morning. That's what it was. UK's Miners Club. Gotcha. I knew it was UK something. I couldn't remember though.
In the CNBC's Crypto World, I'm Jordan Smith. Cryptocurrencies rising this morning, with Bitcoin jumping back above $27,000 by noon Eastern. Ether, meanwhile, crossing above $16.50, and Polygon's Matic token rose to 52 cents. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Coinbase took to Capitol Hill on Wednesday to sway lawmakers to pass clearer regulations. The crypto exchange's Stand With Crypto campaign handed out cold brew at the Capitol, and CEO Brian Armstrong brought together lawmakers and crypto entrepreneurs. On X, he posted a photo in the rotunda saying that it was great to have so many members of Congress meeting crypto entrepreneurs, and that you can't have a few bad apples, both in the industry and in our government, set the narrative. Armstrong has, of course, been critical of the pace of U.S. regulation and the crackdown from the SEC. Coinbase is facing a lawsuit from that agency, which alleges that the crypto firm ran an unregistered securities exchange. Next, Terraform Labs co-founder Do Kwon is fighting the SEC's push to depose him. Last week, the agency requested to depose Do Kwon before the trial's discovery deadline on October 13th. In a filing on Wednesday, his lawyers say an in-person deposition would be impossible because he's in Montenegro, and a written deposition would violate his due process rights. Of course, the SEC is seeking to extradite him to the US to make that deposition easier. Do Kwon faces fraud charges filed back in February surrounding the collapse of Terra Luna. Last, Binance is selling its Russian business to a newly formed entity, and CEO Changpeng Zhao is denying that he has any stake in the new owner. The crypto exchange announced on Wednesday that it was selling its Russian unit to COMEX, a mysterious new entity whose website was registered on September 22nd. On Tuesday, its X account posted introducing COMEX, and according to an announcement from Binance, it will now migrate all of Binance Russia's users over to the platform over the next year.
What? They just opened or they just registered on September 22nd and they sold? Like, Binance is one of the largest crypto exchanges on the planet. What, like, they just sell to some random ass entity? Something sketchy about that.
Quickly began to mount about who actually owns this new business that's taking Binance Russia's customers. CZ took to X to say
I feel like he's shady as hell. I don't know about you guys. I just feel like something's not right.
Wasn't him. He says he's not the ultimate beneficial owner and doesn't own any shares. Now, as for why Binance is selling off its Russian business, it says that operating there isn't compatible with its compliance strategy. That's as the war in Ukraine rages on and as the DOJ reportedly investigates Binance for sanctions violations, according to the Wall Street Journal. All right, back to markets for our main story. Solo Ceesay, the co-founder of the decentralized platform Galaxy, argues that between corporate adoption, BlackRock filing for a spot Bitcoin ETF, and regulatory advancements, there hasn't ever been this much discourse around digital assets. Crypto World's Talia Kaplan spoke with Ceesay about why he believes we're, quote, on the precipice of what could be the greatest transfer of wealth that has ever happened.
You recently wrote a piece explaining why you think the next crypto bull run will be like nothing we've ever experienced. In it, you note that the crypto market has been pretty boring due to asset prices traveling sideways for most of this year. You argue that still hope in the vision of the Federal Reserve's soft landing combined with the upcoming Bitcoin halving has the Web3 community, quote, salivating at the prospect of many life-changing opportunities that could be within reach soon. Can you expand on your reasoning as to why you believe there could be a prolonged crypto rally in the near future, and what's your timeline?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me on the show. Genuinely appreciate it. I would say that crypto has been rather uninteresting for quite some time right now. If you're not deep into the space, you're probably not looking at it as much, or you're not checking your Coinbase or whatever it is that you might use to check on asset prices, given they've been depressed for quite some time.
And that's a huge factor, by the way. So like the video I dropped the other day about that whole BitBoy stuff, the reason that they're trying to get his company evaluated right now is because the market's so down and nobody's interested in, you know, the like viewership basically is not there. So that's kind of, they just elaborated that a little bit right there, which is, it's so true. Just nobody's searching these terms, nobody's really into it unless you do this stuff for a living, kind of like myself and everybody else that's around the space.
But in the piece, I note that there are so many different features at play. The market is quite different than it was in the last bull run that we saw in 2019 into 2020. There was a quite different market outlook right now in terms of the maturity of the asset class, the amount of development that's been happening on some of these blockchains or alternative blockchains that have emerged since the last bull run. In addition, with those macroeconomic trends that we're seeing with in the general market, it seems to be the perfect opportunity for there to be increased activity, and especially as the market starts to cure and flows start to come back into risk assets. I expect Bitcoin and a lot of other digital assets to make that rally and extend to new heights that we haven't seen before, given all those recent developments that we've seen over the last couple of years.
And it certainly will be interesting to see what transpires. But looking at Bitcoin specifically, the cryptocurrency has been trading in a tight range for months and hasn't been able to surpass the $32,000 level so far this year. Why do you think that is? I recently interviewed the CEO of crypto wallet Beam, and he argued that for the past few months, there haven't been many new retail and institutional participants coming into the market. And as a result, people have been trading with Bitcoin that they already own. Therefore, the cryptocurrency hasn't been able to move past that range of about $25,000 to $30,000. Do you agree with his argument?
Yeah, I mean, I think to a certain extent, absolutely, there's a lot to that. But even, and from my perspective too, I think with all risk assets in all markets, volatility is where money or opportunities are made. And so, not to say there hasn't been any volatility over the last couple of months. We've obviously seen spikes here and there. Like you've mentioned, we've had trouble, reaching or breaking through, that support level or that resistance level. Sorry, of 32,000, and it has a lot to do with the fact that the money that's already here in the asset class has been rather invested. There's a lot of different stats and metrics that you could really look at, but the vast majority of crypto wallets, or a lot of them, are dormant, especially amongst people who are newer to the asset class and people that are that sort of that additional catalyst for general market upside pressure. And so just given that there haven't been that many developments, that many consumer use cases featuring Bitcoin, as well as the general awareness, the public sentiment I call out in my piece about digital assets isn't particularly high either. And so when you think about where that new money might come from, it really, is, pretty few and far between. But we expect that to cure as the market gets better. Just generally over time, the American person is feeling strapped for cash these days. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and a lot of that speculative money that would come into the asset class hasn't been trickling in. But just as with any sort of market cycle, as we start to come back on the other side, the appearance of a soft landing or something thereof might obviously entice people to come to the asset class and seek greater investment returns.
So over the summer, we saw a wave of asset managers file applications for spot Bitcoin ETFs. That includes BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager. And just this week, 4 U.S. lawmakers sent SEC Chair Gary Gensler a letter urging the agency to immediately approve spot Bitcoin ETFs following a U.S. Court of Appeals siding with Grayscale over the SEC in its effort to convert its Bitcoin trust into an ETF. What do you think will happen with those filings for spot Bitcoin ETFs? And if those applications do get approved, what do you think will happen to crypto markets?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's an amazing time for crypto just because I think it's a big step of recognition for those ETFs to get approved. And additionally, it's a large step in the right direction for getting people exposure to digital assets. I think one of the biggest issues with Bitcoin, or obviously digital assets as a whole, is the idea of self-custody, because it's an idea and familiar, a behavior so unfamiliar to the vast majority of people. And so the fear of losing your funds or the fear of not being able to point at anyone, sort of the greatest aspects of Bitcoin could sometimes lead to the biggest friction points when it comes to expanding its user base. But I think the addition of ETFs as a potential mechanism for investment will allow it to be far more accessible to the vast majority of users who don't want to take on that operational risk of dealing with digital assets.
That was a very good point he just made. People are probably, I mean, most people, right? Average Joe would be scared to lose your crypto. Most people are just like, oh, it's fake internet money, blah, blah, blah. They don't want to put their actual, hard-earned working money into something that they could just get stolen like that. And I get it. It's a lot of fear in the space that just people don't understand. So when the ETFs come out and, the big banks or whatever are holding these ETFs and your money's secured with them and it's backed by them, it's a little more, it's like having an extra cushion, right? So you don't have to just self-custody everything. I don't know. I think it's going to bring more users into the space, to be honest. So I think this is a good thing for crypto.
Pertains to, the idea of whether they're going to get approved or not. I'm no expert, just like nobody else might be, but I think what we are finding in the market is that there are fewer and fewer reasons for the SEC and the powers that be to not approve these ETFs. There's been a lot of mobilization within the community, within the ecosystem as a whole, within financial markets, and you're seeing this myriad of the amount of the collaboration between the worlds, the BlackRocks of the world who've ruled the world as it's been for however long, entering this space, which is a huge point of support and a point of legitimacy for digital assets. And I think that pressure from those traditional players that have been doing this for quite some time will lead me to believe that I think we have a strong chance of seeing a Bitcoin ETF approved. And if we do see a rejection, I can only imagine that there's going to be an approval quite soon, just given that there's so many out there in the queue.
Even though they just did deny the approval of they denied them until the beginning of next year, supposedly, even though their denial wasn't forced upon until like November 11th or something crazy. I don't know why they already talked about it, but whatever.
And I'm sure that fear that you speak of was amplified by the collapse of FTX. But let's talk about your platform, Galaxy. It officially launched last month, and the platform aims to help empower content creator and artists, as well as help them interact directly with their fans. I heard you say in a prior interview that Galaxy is meant to be a highly consumer-facing product. Can you expand on that, and how does it work exactly?
Galaxy?
Yeah, absolutely. So Galaxy is the open social marketplace for and by creators. We are built on Hedera Hashgraph, which is actually a blockchain alternative. But essentially, our platform allows content creators to offer digital experiences to their fan base. And so whether this is things like video calls, things like video messages, custom experiences, and more, essentially we're marrying that Web2 marketplace activity with the paradigm shift of a decentralized ecosystem connected by peer-to-peer crypto wallets. And so essentially within our application, users are able to go into the social feed or go into the general application. There's a social feed, there's a wallet, there's messaging capabilities. It's a traditional social experience or what you might come with, centered around the idea of a non-custodial wallet, enabling the power of value transfer, and which obviously supports the idea of the marketplace activity. And so we allow content creators to get paid out in either USDC or fiat currency, and consumers are able to use their credit cards to purchase experiences. And so it's meant to be a very highly Web2 facing experience, very consumer, which allows people to lean into the utility of a crypto wallet and really change the idea of what digital assets can really do. And
I don't really care about this, to be honest. He's just kind of shilling this thing, but this is what it is. It's Galaxy.com. I don't even know what it is. I'm curious to see. So let's click play this trailer. Oh God, that's loud. Is it loud to you guys? I'm gonna turn it down. Holy shit. What is this? I'm probably gonna get whacked for copyright music. How do I just skip through this? What does it do? What's the whole point here? It's like cut off. They can't even see the whole friggin' thing. Only half the screen. Well, that's foolish. All right, never mind. Well, shout out to Crypto World for that. I'm not going to continue with the shill of whatever that site is. I have no idea. No affiliation here. Please don't mix things up. All right, let's get over here onto Mr. Altcoin Daily's video. I want to see what's going on here. Look out. This is Coinbase's plans to defeat the U.S. regulators. Let's see what Brian Armstrong's plans are. Again, if you guys have any questions, at me in the chat.
This is going to be kind of like our 5G or semiconductor moment, where in 5 years we'll be thinking, how do we get this back on shore if we don't do something now?
Cryptocurrency has entered a pivotal moment in its life cycle. This next year will define the next 5 years. And now we
know what? By the way, hold on. This stand with crypto thing, right? Like I said, they had this meeting. This shield that was put up behind Gary Gensler, that was 100% legit. I watched what's it called, the congressional hearing, in the certain section that it was at. This dude, someone had stand with crypto, that sign on the right, and somebody else held their phone up and they like brightened the screen, so I know it wasn't fake. It was so funny. I was like, oh my God, they really did hold that up. I thought it was a total joke. Real quick, so I guess there's an issue with Discord as well. Everybody's saying in the live chat on the desktop, so I guess it works good on mobile. Thank you very much for that, Mindsome10. All right, let's continue.
And now we have proof that institutions have been secretly buying Bitcoin.
As it went down to 17,000, it wasn't a shock to me that you saw some of those institutions step in for the very first time, buy Bitcoin.
Why? Everybody's starting to realize this.
It will have to be a component in a portfolio of broad portfolios, like a pension fund.
Wall Street bigwig Tom Farley, the CEO and chairman of the board for Farpoint Acquisitions Corp, comes
Why was he just in front of a Victoria's Secret sign? Does anybody know?
clean on everything institutions have been doing behind the scenes. Listen to this. Listen to what he says at the end.
What's happened with Bitcoin? When Bitcoin was at 60,000, you had a lot of institutions on the sideline who were looking and saying, boy, we'd like to invest. We'd like to allocate 1, 2, 3% of our portfolios, pension funds, for example. But at 60,000, it feels toppy. There's some mania, but they've done the diligence. They've met with their investment committees. And so as it went down to 17,000, it wasn't a shock to me that you saw some of those institutions step in for the very first time, buy Bitcoin, store it in their portfolio. So I knew there was a buyer.
But interesting that those institutional buyers stepped in when it was showing its volatility. you would think that the opposite would be true, that they would want to stay away. Unless you think now that this is such a critical asset class that no one can afford not to be in it.
Yeah, well, it was a moment of capitulation. So if we could see all the books and records, I think it would be a combination of some really smart Bitcoin whales that have been in it for 10 years, and then fairly quickly some of those institutions stepping in. That's exactly what's happened. I mean, look, in crypto, yes, Bitcoin's up 40%. It doesn't mean it's going to go up another 40%. But in crypto, there's Bitcoin, and then there's literally everything else. Bitcoin is trusted, it's largely censorship resistant. There will only and ever be 21 million Bitcoins. It will have to be a component in a portfolio of broad portfolios, like a pension fund, maybe just to a small extent, but it will have to be there.
You probably watched Gary Gensler get grilled in Congress yesterday. Watch our video if you haven't.
You're pushing a woke political and social agenda, and I think abusing your role in the authority of the SEC as cover. Frankly, you're front-running Congress, you're front-running the courts, you're front-running even the own administration, and no one has held you to account for that. I mean, I wish the Biden administration would say you're fired, but the list of folks they need to do that for is long. Congress.
I almost played this clip this morning because they said that. He didn't show that in his video yesterday, but I caught that. Like I said, when I was watching it last night, he said, I wish the Biden administration would just fire you.
Hopefully will with the SEC Stabilization Act.
And in the Gary grillings, you probably saw somebody photobomb Gary with this Coinbase Stand With Crypto shield. Here it is. What is this? What is the Stand With Coinbase?
And like I said, right before they did that phone thing, somebody else had this sign next to him on the other side.
Movement. Should we be supporting this? CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, explains what Coinbase's Stand With Crypto movement is and why you should support it.
So real quick, that phone, the guy that was holding the phone, I noticed briefly after that whole section, they have like 5-minute interviews with everybody on like the board. So after the whatever the guy's name is, I forget, but after he got McHenry, I think, grilled Gensler after that phone was shown, probably 2 people after that guy was gone. That chair was empty. So I don't know if it was somebody just wanted to get in there and do that during them two talking or what, because it's the biggest moment, or he got kicked out, one or the other, who knows.
Crypto is here to tell people that 52 million Americans have now used crypto. That's 3x the number that own electric vehicles. It's more than hold union cards in the United States. It's a massive constituency, and they're frankly a little unhappy with the US because the US is lagging behind. We don't have clear rules on the books like 83% of the rest of the G20 countries for how crypto should be regulated, how consumers should be protected, and how this innovation can happen here in the US. And so there's a couple of bills going through the House right now that have bipartisan support for how we get clear market structure, how we get stable coins in the US. And these entrepreneurs and the 52 million Americans really want this to happen. And so we're here talking about Stand With Crypto. We've got the pins. People can check out standwithcrypto.org and sign up if they want to be a crypto advocate. This is something America needs to get right.
By the way, if we lose crypto in America, it will be hard to get it back. This is our moment. And you only get one moment. Watch the CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, explain that this is crypto's 5G moment, where if Congress doesn't act within 5 years, major ground will be lost to overseas, and we'll be desperately trying to get this back on shore. Listen.
We know that a lot of these crypto CEOs are trying to showcase the number of jobs that are really being created in this country through the crypto industry. I know that you, Coinbase, have also been involved in efforts in Ohio, the home state of Senate Banking Committee Chair Sherrod Brown. Is it really possible to motivate and galvanize people to vote based on crypto?
I think so. Of those 52 million Americans, some of them, if this is a single issue voter for them, they really want to see that this is going to happen here in the U.S. And in Ohio specifically, there's 1.3 million Americans who have used crypto. They've started to see these jobs go offshore. They've started to see the harm that's happened by the lack of clear rules. So I think they're definitely looking at their elected representatives, including Sherrod Brown, to see how they're going to respond to this issue. And are they going to come and put clear rules in place, or are they going to ignore it?
And what are you hearing from lawmakers so far in the meetings that you've had?
Yeah, so we've had some really amazing meetings today with the highest levels of our government and lawmakers, and I think there's a general consensus and understanding from both sides of the aisle that this is an important issue. We can't keep having Americans be harmed and having this move offshore. This is going to be kind of like our 5G or semiconductor moment. where in 5 years we'll be thinking, how do we get this back on shore if we don't do something now? So the lawmakers I've spoken with are all high level aligned to this principle. It's kind of common sense. Let's make some clear rules. But politics, are messy. And so these bills we need to get people from both sides of the aisle to come together on a few little remaining issues. Like, for instance, is there a state pathway for stablecoins in addition to the federal pathway? And I think we as an industry, we're flexible, honestly. I think there's a reasonable set of places where these rules could land. I'm okay with any of them. I just want there to be clear rules, because in the absence of that, the SEC has just been on this path of regulation by enforcement, or harassment, if you will, where every startup in the space gets a subpoena or a Wells notice, and that's not sustainable, and it's not okay.
Guys, get 10% off.
Yeah, we're going to shill this real quick, all right?
And by the way, for those of you wondering about updates about the SEC versus Coinbase case, subscribe, like the video, show up here tomorrow. This is what you need to know.
SEC Chair Gensler, speaking of, is testifying right now on Capitol Hill before the House Financial Services Committee. He seems to be reiterating much of what he said in the past, that the industry is rife with non-compliance. Certainly the SEC has brought a suit against Coinbase. What are your latest thoughts on the SEC's actions, the enforcement? If they were to win your case, is there a path forward for Coinbase in the U.S.?
Well, as I mentioned, the SEC has gone 0 for 3 on the last 3 judges' rulings, and so we feel very good about our case. Some of the facts that those judges have already ruled on, for instance, that the underlying assets themselves were not securities, multiple judges have come to that conclusion, and that's a key fact in our case as well. So I feel good about the path that's going there, but the SEC, I think they did. My understanding is that Gensler did share something in the testimony today, which is that he believes that the CFTC should have spot market authority. The administrative branch has said that. Now he's finally saying that. Some of these bills that just got bipartisan support in the House also say that. They carve out a clear path for where the CFTC should regulate, and the SEC should have a role in crypto securities. There should be a path to register those, which hasn't happened to date. So maybe we're starting to see some consensus there. I don't know, but there's a lot of people in Congress that are unhappy with his approach.
Yeah, quite a few amount of people that are unhappy with his approach. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us are unhappy with Mr. Gensler's approach. All right, this is CNBC Television. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong on regulation. I want to hear what he has to say over here. It's kind of similar to what we just heard, but I guess in a different setting, not as much noise and not really edited. It's just a pure interview. So let's get into it. If you guys have any questions, add me in the chat.
Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong has been spending some time in Washington, D.C., talking to officials about the crypto industry, even as Coinbase looks to expand overseas. I spoke to Armstrong yesterday and asked him about the event he organized called Stand with Crypto Day.
Yeah, Stand with Crypto Day. So, I mean, what this is really about is there's 52 million Americans in the U.S. who've used crypto now. That's 3x as many as own an electric vehicle. It's more than the number that hold union cards. It's a major constituency in the U.S., and many of them are quite frustrated that the U.S. does not have clear rules on the books yet. And it's created this unfortunate environment of kind of regulation by enforcement, which is pushing a lot of this industry offshore. So I'm here in D.C. with 40 founders of other crypto companies, and it's been really exciting just to get the members of Congress to meet people from their own jurisdictions or districts that are starting companies and trying to build real value and innovation and jobs here in the U.S. in their own district.
Now, let's talk about the timing of this, because it is on the eve, if you will, of the trial of Sam Bankman-Fried, which starts next week.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's been a really unfortunate industry event that I was hoping we could kind of turn the page on. But unfortunately, the trial is so salacious that it does keep getting headlines. I mean, look,
it's going to be an interesting trial. I didn't know that started next week. You guys interested to watch that? Let's see. Yeah, hashtag free Sam. Yankee.
I think that if you go back in time, this reminds me a little bit of like the Mt. Gox issue that happened. And we have to be honest and say that there has been some negative, bad people who've been attracted to this industry. But they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. That does not mean that the industry writ large is based on that. In fact, there's 40 founders, as I mentioned, that are here with me in D.C. that are building this in a trusted and responsible way. They may not get the same salacious headlines, but they are here, and they're going to have a bigger impact over time if we can create clear regulation that protects consumers, avoids things like FTX, but also preserves the innovation potential.
What kind of reaction are you getting? And I know you've been quite critical of critics of the crypto industry, of course, Gary Gensler, Elizabeth Warren, and others. But do you see anything shifting as you're there in D.C.?
Yeah, I mean, actually, from our perspective, there has been a pretty positive development. We saw 2 bills earlier this year that got bipartisan support in the House committees. There was a market structure bill and a stablecoin bill. I think that was really positive. We also saw the judicial branch of our government send a very clear signal in 3 separate court rulings by 3 separate judges that the SEC's approach was not working. It was arbitrary and capricious. It was unlawful in some cases. And so that's sent a very clear message to Congress as well that they're going to have to step in here and act by creating new legislation.
Well, they mentioned yesterday, too, that they so the guy that was saying he wants to get Gary fired, I think he was saying that they wanted to have 6 equal members, like 3 and 3 from each party, not have one head chair and then everybody else behind him. So I wonder what's going to happen with the SEC going forward, to be honest.
What is the state of play with the SEC case versus Coinbase?
Yeah, well, we feel very confident about the case. I mentioned there's been 3 judges that have ruled in other cases around crypto, and some of those facts are relevant in our case. For instance, in the Ripple and the Terraform case, the judge ruled that the underlying assets themselves were not securities. That's an important fact in our case as well. So, look, I mean, it would have been better if the regulator had simply published clear rules, had engaged in a rulemaking process as they're required to do under the Administrative Procedures Act, and that way we could all follow it. But in the absence of that, it appears now that the courts are going to have to come in and create some of that clarity for now, and I think ultimately it'll end up being Congress.
Coinbase is a publicly traded company, so I really think the SEC is going to have a very, very hard time fighting that.
Things that you are doing is expanding internationally and doing so aggressively, I imagine, as a function of the regulatory or tight regulatory body in the United States. Is that what's happening?
Well, Coinbase is based in the U.S., and we're not leaving the U.S. In fact, this is the biggest market for us, and we're the leader in it. But we also want to be an international company that allows us to, help many people around the world benefit from this technology as a way to update the financial system. So actually, we do have a pretty exciting announcement about that. Today, we're announcing that our international exchange got regulatory approval to offer perpetual futures or derivatives trading to retail customers. And we're really excited about that just because it's a way to bring in a whole other set of people around the world, and actually in over 100 countries, who can start to participate in this more open and fair and free financial system.
When you look across the globe, do you say to yourself that other parts of the world are now much more favorable towards crypto? And I know you've made the argument historically that from an American perspective, you don't want to see American companies effectively move abroad.
They're going to be screwed if they do.
Yeah, unfortunately, I would have to agree with that at this point, the U.S. is behind, severely behind, actually. So if you look at the other G20 countries, 83% of them now either already have crypto legislation on the books or it's in progress. It's being drafted, implemented. The U.S. is behind here, and we've seen the share of the U.S. job market around crypto shrink from about 40% to now it's about 29%. And it's due to this lack of regulatory clarity. So I think when I speak with members of Congress, I had a great meeting this morning with Nancy Pelosi, for instance, and a number of other meetings later today. The general broad consensus view, it's kind of common sense. It's let's get some clear rules on the books. Let's protect consumers, make sure that kinds of things like FTX can't happen, and then also preserve the innovation potential of this industry.
What do you think, though, has to become the inflection point for that to happen in the United States? I know you've talked about some of these lawmakers looking more favorably upon what you're doing in the crypto industry, but there still seems to be this resistance. There still seems to be this worry that it's almost too hard to regulate some of these cryptocurrencies that even if you could regulate them here in the U.S., that you can't regulate them properly outside the U.S., and that unto itself creates the conundrum.
Well, I'm not sure I'd agree with that. As I mentioned, the vast majority of the G20 countries have already kind of put their regulatory framework in place. We've seen that now in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in the UK, in Brazil, in Australia. So it's really just the U.S. which is kind of an outlier here, and that's something that I think is very much within our power to control. In fact, I would say it's a national security issue. If we want the U.S. to be relevant as a financial hub, a tech hub, to project American soft power through our reserve currency and with U.S. dollar stablecoins, it's really imperative that we get this right.
I saw you took to Twitter, or I should say X now, in regard to J.P. Morgan Chase limiting the way they're allowing customers in the UK, that is, to interact with cryptocurrencies. What do you think is going on there?
Is it annoyed anybody else that you can't just call it Twitter anymore? Like, just want to call it Twitter. Just put a hyphen. Like those people that hyphen their last name when they get married. Just do that. Like Twitter -X. That's what we need.
You know what? I'm not sure. I hope to find out more information on that. But once in a while, we do see a bank somewhere in the world that decides they want to really just deplatform this whole industry. And I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's the role of banks in our society. I think the government should decide what is allowed and what's not. And the government in the UK, through Rishi Sunak and Andrew Griffith, the city minister in London, have made it very clear that they want the UK to be a Web3 and crypto hub. They're trying to attract businesses there. And so I was disappointed to see Chase UK's stance on that. I hope that that was a misunderstanding that'll be clarified in the coming weeks.
All right. Shout out to CNBC television for that. All right. Again, this is this Binance Russia buyer tight-lipped BS. I don't know what's going on with this whole CZ selling it to COMEX or whatever, but yeah, this is some drama going on. I want to see if there's anything else over on Cointelegraph. Honestly, CZ just kind of sketches me out, so I'm sure more things will come up there or come up with that whole situation. Let's see, Hong Kong. Don't care. Bitcoin short price, don't care about that. Let's see. Mr. Geek of all trades, good morning. How's the hangover, buddy? How's the hangover? And how was Cypherpunk? How was it? It looked like a total sausage fest last night. I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, guys, I don't think there's really too much more over here, but I do want to leave you guys with something that we always leave with on Friday, or most things. Let me get this going in a second. But either way, guys, hopefully you enjoy your Friday. It is Friday. It's payday for most of you guys, so hopefully you guys, spend it wisely. Don't blow it all on crypto, but definitely put some aside. I'm sure you'll be happy with it. You'll appreciate it in 10 years when this actually does blow up. All right, let me see if you guys have any other questions in the chat, and then we will be getting out of here. I gotta change those to blue. I like blue better. All right, let's see. Hearing Flux FUD. Flux sucks. A sustainable crypto. You know what? I'm totally biased on the situation. The way that things have been in the past couple months, I would say, with Flux and stuff, like price action, yeah, it's pretty terrible. Opinions suck, right? But other than that, it's like, I hope it goes far. I do hope Flux goes far in the long run, but who knows where it's gonna be. But it's kind of funny, you guys in the chat. Is there an echo? There's no echo. I don't have an echo, do I hope not. Under Armour NFTs, maybe someday. I like this shirt. Listen. I want my watch NFT, damn it, says sustainable crypto. You know what? I kind of want one of those watches. I just wish they looked better. I don't like the look of them. Like the style of them, they just don't look good. All right, good. No echo. Thank you. I was like confused. I thought that was really an echo. That would have been terrible. Let's see. Yo, just got here. I need my COD. Appreciate you, buddy. What are you guys' plans for today? Is it payday for everybody? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing with do you guys invest on Fridays? Do you guys like take $20 and throw it into Bitcoin? What do you guys do? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. The Squawk Box had an echo. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Big Black Snake mining. Appreciate it. I have 2 watches to sustainable crypto. Nice. Earl V, no. Tom G, pay bills. Perfect. Probably the smartest thing to do. Casino Time says Ricky Bobby. That is a bad decision, sir. That is a bad decision. You know, it's kind of funny though. You say that. What was it, yesterday? I forget who said it. It was something about how the government doesn't give a shit. Oh, it was Crypto Zombie, actually. He was saying how the government doesn't give a shit if you go take your entire paycheck and you put it on a roulette wheel on black. But if you buy Bitcoin, you're like, just the bane of an existence. Like, nobody likes you. It's like ridiculous. I get paid on Wednesdays. You get paid on Wednesdays. Oh, you know what? Direct deposit's probably 2 days early. Yeah. When I ran a business, that's how it was. You get, if you did direct deposit, it was 2 days early for whatever reason. But yes, that's true. Yes, the government cares. That's about it. But all right, guys, I got to get out of here, unfortunately. Got to get back to daddy duty, but I'm going to leave you guys with this. As always, hopefully you have a happy and safe Friday, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Yeah, I wish I could roll back time to that old Silk Road. I wanna hold on till I can't no more. I'm gonna add crypto to my portfolio. I wanna hold on till I can't no more. I got my crypto coming back soon. I'm back in the black too. Suck here in the bag. Now I'm feeling like a tycoon. Riding on a Lambo. You can live with FOMO. I've been through the dips. When it's low, I was buying more. Now I got my money on the blockchain. Hodl gang, hodl gang, hodl gang. Can't nobody stop my campaign. Hodl gang, hodl gang, hodl gang. I'ma buy some Bitcoin, hold it like the big boys. Ride it to the moon on my Lambo or my Rolls Royce. Now I got these altcoins, they don't make the big noise, but they make the big rips. Call me crypto cowboy. Now I got my money on the blockchain. Hodl gang, hodl gang, hodl gang. Can't nobody stop my campaign. Hodl gang, hodl gang, hodl gang. Yeah, I wish I could roll back time to that old Silk Road. I wanna hold until I can't no more. I'm gonna add crypto to my portfolio. I wanna hold until I can't no more. Backyard garage, solar powered area. Spend a lot of money trying to mine that Ethereum. Boy, I gotta have it, I'ma bounce right back. And I'm addicted, I become a cryptomaniac. You see, I got no stocks and I got no gold. I'm all in, all I do is I buy crypto. Wish I could roll back time to that old Silk Road. I wanna hodl till I can't no more. Wish I could roll back time to that old Silk Road. I wanna hold till I can't no more. I'm gonna add crypto to my portfolio. I wanna hold till I can't no more.
Appreciate you all. Have a good day, guys. Happy Friday. Peace, peace.